مدد المدد يا الله اسقينا بالمدد يا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبعد. فنسأل الله عز وجل أن يجعلنا وإياكم من المستمعين للقول والمتبعين أحسنه إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. ثم أما بعد. With the love of Allah Jalla wa Ala, we are going to continue with our journey through the world of the Malaika. And as I said before, we are blessed by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam having us described the way that the world of the unseen looks like. And it is a blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that we don't see the world of the unseen, because this would have made life impossible for us. If I were to look at you and look at your angels writing down, and if I were to look at the skies and see these souls flying through the skies, I would see shayateen whispering to you, and you might be looking at my qaleen whispering to me. We would hear the dead yelling, screaming, yearning to come back to the face of the earth, and life would just have been impossible. So this is one of the reasons why Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, I'm hiding behind smoke. This is why Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, or one of the reasons why Allah Jalla wa Ala has not shown us the world of the unseen. But nevertheless, He has asked us to believe in it. So today we are going to have a look once again at the world of the angels, and we are going to try to look at how we can be transformed through our beliefs in these angels. The angels, barakallahu fikum, are pure, as we said. And the only thing they do is worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't eat, they don't drink, they don't sleep. And they don't get married, they don't have children. They don't have any desire apart from the desire of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worshiping Him. So what is the worship of these malaika? So last time we had a look at how these angels are connected to the human being. Today we want to have a look at their worship. So the first thing they do is a tasbih. And the tasbih is one of the most precious forms of dhikr. Because when you say Subhanallah, you are actually saying that Allah is free of any shortcomings and mistakes. You are actually saying that Allah is flawless. You are saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above your imagination. He is better than you can even express to think Him to be. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, لا أحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. I am not able to praise you in a way befitting to you. You are rather as you have praised yourself. So this is what you do with the tasbih. And this is why, for example, the Hamalatul Arsh do tasbih. The angels that carry the throne, they do tasbih. So they say, Subhanak, 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 Subhanak. This is what they are saying almost all the time. Allah describes these angels carrying the throne. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشَ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ وَيُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا رَبَّنَا وَسِعْتَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةً وَعِلْمًا فَاغْفِرْ لِلَّذِينَ, and so forth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, those who carry the arsh and those who are around the arsh, يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ. Yani they do tasbih and tahmeed of their Lord. So they praise Him and they do tasbih of Him. Which is very strange to see really. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبُّ الْكَلَامِ, that the things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves most is that one says, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. And the Subhanallah wa bihamdihi is exactly what the carriers of the throne are saying. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. So in a certain way, Allah wants us to resemble the angels. Like angels are also always in sujood, we have to make sujood. Angels don't eat and they don't drink, Allah wants us to fast. Angels, they circumambulate around the Kaaba, Allah wants us to do exactly the same thing. And they do tasbih, Allah wants us to do the same thing. So they help the ibad Allah, yani the servants of Allah, Allah wants us to do the same thing. So when you really look at it, Allah Jalla wa Ala wants us to live with our souls as much as He wants us to live with our bodies. And this is why the angels are astonished when people who are been given the possibility to sin choose to resemble the angels and not the devils. You know, either you want to shine like an angel, or you want to what? Live in the obscurity like a demon. So we are always between these two, pending towards either these earthly needs or these divine desires. We are always between them. And this is what we feel. And earthly needs and desires are not wrong, as long as they are halal. But this is the conflict within ourselves. This is what we feel. Like sometimes it's all about, I want to get rich, I want some money, I want a beautiful car, I want this, I want that, which is not wrong, right? But this is your body. That's your brain. And then all of a sudden it's your soul talking now. You say, I want Allah, I want Jannah, I don't care about this world. You know, it made me unhappy, I didn't find my happiness here, I just want to die, I want to go back to Allah. It's like there's some kind, it's not like you're being bipolar. You are just aware that you are a body and a soul. So how am I going to find harmony between my body and my soul? Because very often they seem to be in contradiction with one another. Well, believe me, when your soul is truly connected to Allah, you will not have to drag your body to worship Allah. Your body now will be the very element which refuses not to be at Allah's disposal. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran when He says, تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ. Yani their bodies now, they don't find it pleasant to sleep anymore in their beds. So junubuhum, Allah didn't say qulubuhum. Allah said their bodies. Now their bodies don't want to sleep. Because even their bodies now enjoy being in an angelic state. They love to be in a state which is the state of the angels. The difference is that the angels, or the iman of the angels, doesn't increase. The iman of the human beings decreases and increases. The iman of the angels is always the same, and the iman of the prophets only increases. We are those people who on the one hand, sometimes feel far away from Allah, but very often the very reason why we feel that we are far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is because Allah wants us to be reminded of what we are missing out on. And sometimes this can be for a year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not because you're like a big sinner, but you just know that you are no longer there where you were one day. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, you felt like so strong, so close, so enlightened on the inside. Like when you're close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything feels light on the inside. Nothing is heavy. You feel happy. You feel, subhanAllah, it's truly like you say, if this is the feeling of the people of paradise, well, that would have been sufficient. That feeling. So, and then all of a sudden, you don't know why. You want to come closer to Allah, you say, Ya Rabbi, I want this thing. He doesn't give it to you. Because you only know what you have when you lose it. And then when it comes back to you, you will cherish it. Wallah, you will cherish it. Look, may Allah preserve our children, ameen. But you have your child, and subhanAllah, you think it's, it has a disease or an infection. Like when we had with Laith, for example, it was 3 weeks, we thought he's going to die. They said the infection is going to his brain. We need to give him antibiotics and this and that. It was only 3 weeks. But then when he came back after thinking that you were about to lose him, you cherish it so much more. And if that shows something, is that we need continuously to be reminded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why we have to pray 5 times a day. This is why we have to repeat Surah Al-Fatiha 17 times a day. Because without these reminders, these divine reminders being imposed on us, then we wouldn't have looked for the reminder ourselves, is it? So now to come back. So these angels, their iman is always the same. But our iman increases and decreases. Becomes stronger and becomes weaker. And this is why Imam Razi rahimahullah in his tafsir, when he says about the verse وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ تَنْتَشِرُونَ. He said, and from amongst these signs is that you are human beings. He created out of what? Out of soil, clay, sand, whatever. He says, and look, here you are moving. Now you are walking over the face of the earth. So he says, the most astonishing thing about the human being is that the asl, his fundamental, is that he's not transparent. Soil is not transparent. That he is dry and heavy. Now, and not fertile. Now, like the soil, just soil on itself without rain and anything is just soil. So it says, this is the human being. So his body is the soil, but his what? His soul, he says, is completely the opposite. It's transparent, it's light, now, and it's what?
Light.
No, fertile. You can plant seeds in the soul which will allow you to harvest the nearness of the divine subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, how can these two opposites be in one? SubhanAllah, these two opposites of heaviness, and this is what we feel, like the soul is always wanting to go higher, wants to go up because that is where it came from. And the body always is looking down. I want this, I want that. No, I want this, no, I want that. We keep on going between this and that. So how do we get rid of that? We don't need to get rid of that. We just need to change the intention between our being attracted to the face of the earth. If I want to eat, I eat to take care of my body so that I can fast, or so that I can pray, or so that I can work for my family and provide for them. You see? So now if you know the art of changing your intention, then every desire you have for the worldly life will be turned into a hasana. Like the Prophet ﷺ was told his companions, when the two spouses are together, I'm not going to say the till now, you will be rewarded. And then the Prophet they asked, Ya Rasulullah, will someone do this while it is something that he or she might enjoy? He said, yes, if he were to do it in a haram way, then he would have been punished. And in a halal way, he is rewarded. The Prophet ﷺ said, and the food that you put in the mouth of your wife is a sadaqah. So everything you do on the face of the earth can actually enrich your soul. And the reason why we feel that we are far from Allah is not because dunya removes us from Allah, because we don't have a present heart behind that which we do in this worldly life. Is that clear? Okay. So now the angels, we can be in an angelic state. SubhanAllah, this is the most beautiful thing. And this is why when the ladies looked at Yusuf alayhi salam, what did they say? They said, this is not a man. This is a honored, honorable angel. Why do they say this? He didn't have wings, did he? But because when you are always close to Allah, you will be enlightened by the nur of Allah. And the angels are made of light. So actually when you nourish your soul will shine. So your face will shine. سِيمَاهُمْ فِي وُجُوهِهِمْ مِنْ أَثَرِ سُجُودٍ. Yani the signs of prayer is visible on their faces. Yani meaning the light of Iman. So this is when you try to live up to when you are competing with the angels. Up to a certain point where the angels are astonished and saying, how can creatures who have been created out of two opposites and who are attracted by the world be able to choose not to do so? Well, they don't have to do this. They don't have to make choices. They just do. Okay, so that's one. So now the angels, they pray. The Prophet ﷺ wants us to be in this state because he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَلَا تَصُفُّونَ كَمَا تَصُفُّ الْمَلَائِكَةُ عِنْدَ رَبِّهَا. He used to say when he would put people in lines during prayer, he would say, then why not will you stand in line exactly like the angels stand in line in front of their Lord. So this is what we feel like when we pray, like we are in line like the angels. The angels call themselves Safun. We are those who are always in line. وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ وَالْمَلَكُ صَفًّا صَفًّا. And your Lord, yani the decree of your Lord will come and the angels will come in lines. They will all come in lines because they're always in formation. They're like troops. They're always organized. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said, if you don't, then shaitan will what? Walk between the lines. If your lines are not straight. And the Prophet ﷺ said, be in line because otherwise you will disagree with your hearts. Look at this. Like if you don't stand in line properly, this will affect your heart. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the best ones amongst you are those with the most soft shoulders. What does that mean in prayer? Like sometimes people just want their space. Like we're going back to the Neanderthal, like the man living in a cave, and this is mine. You know, this is my space. This is the way that people go, you know, boom, boom, and then there. The Prophet ﷺ with the softest shoulder, like you give space, tfaddal, come, and then you're just like this, but not like this. Like your soft shoulder shouldn't allow you to turn away from the Qibla. You should be direct with both of your shoulders towards the Qibla. So anyway, the Prophet ﷺ told us that we need to what? Stand in lines like the angels stand in line in front of their Lord. Why? Because when you praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is servitude to Allah Jalla wa Ala, and that, do you know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like when he would put people in line, he wouldn't just say like we do today, staw, all stand in line. No, he would actually check all the lines. He would walk like a general would be inspecting his troops. He would go, why? Because the Imam is the leader, right? It's like general, telling the people to follow him to go where? To the world of the unseen. You see? So when he says Allahu Akbar, he's actually opening that door. Oof, there you are, in a new world. And the Imam is standing there, subhanAllah, as the leader. What kind of awe does the Imam experience? So the Prophet ﷺ would be going, and then you imagine the Prophet ﷺ like the angels standing in lines in front of their Lord. So this is where we are when we say Allahu Akbar. That's a key to the world of the unseen. Just Allahu Akbar. Why Allahu Akbar? Because when you say this, why is this the key? Because you just said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surpasses time and space and place. Allahu Akbar, all is gone. And this is how you feel when you pray. With your Allahu Akbar, everything is gone. Your surrounding, your perception, your hearing, your seeing, everything now is different. So anyway, he said, أَلَا تَصُفُونَ كَمَا تَصُفُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ عِنْدَ رَبِّهَا. Will you then not stand in line exactly as the angels stand in line in front of their Lord? Ya Rabbi. Subhanallah. And one of the companions said, بينما رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في أصحابه إذ قال لهم أتسمعون ما أسمع قالوا ما نسمع من شيء قال إني لأسمع أطيط السماء وما تلام أن تئط وما فيها موضع شبر إلا وعليه ملك يسجد. إن ملك يسجد أو ساجد أو قائم. He said, while he was preparing his companions for prayer, he said, did you hear what I hear? Did you hear what I've heard? He said, مَا نَسْمَعُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We didn't hear anything. And he said, I heard the sky yearn and scream. He said, because there is no arm length, and not in narration, it's no 2 fingers, no arm length, or there is an angel praying, performing sujood, or standing up in prayer. So meaning that when you pray, the angels pray with us. Some say that those who write step down and they just what? They just pray with you. You know, it's ajib. when you know that these two angels, subhanAllah, how often you think they would have wanted to leave you when they had to observe what you were saying, had to listen to what you were saying, or were seeing at you what you were doing, or how you were behaving. Usually they're too shy to look at haram. But they can't go away, they can't leave you. So maybe time has come when you're alone, they hear you when you speak, to apologize. I'm sorry for everything I've shown you. I'm sorry that I was your companion on the face of the earth. You know, we need to understand that these angels are true and they are real. And we should behave as if they were real because they are. So you can say something like, what? We're always, taking them with us, whatever we do, whatever we say. They see us when we're lazy, they see us when we're angry, they see us when we don't pray on time, they see us all the time. So maybe ask them for a new beginning. He said, I'm sorry, I will be your friend now. Because these angels, when they come down, they say the angels who were writing things down, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. Yani those who said, my Lord is Allah, and then remain firm and steadfast on the path of Allah Jalla wa Ala, yani تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. You know, تَتَنَزَّلُ is not like تَنزِلُ. تَتَنَزَّلُ means groups and troops, one after the other. While you are still alive, and when people say, he can't speak anymore, yani you won't be speaking anymore, but this amount of time in the world of the unseen is much longer than that which the people surrounding you are seeing. You are living an all other life the moment you can't talk. There where time is no longer seconds and minutes, and hours and months and years. And this is why you are still alive. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, there's no one amongst you, or he will see his place in hell or Jannah before his soul leaving his body. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَلَوْلَا إِذَا بَلَغَتِ الْحُلْقُومَ وَأَنْتُمْ حِينَئِذٍ تَنْظُرُونَ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْكُمْ وَلَكِنْ لَا تُبْصِرُونَ. So then why not when the soul reaches, the throat, it's about to leave the body, and you cannot see what's happening, and we are closer to him than you. SubhanAllah. So this is happening. So the malaika, they come down, the angels come down, one after the other, But when Allah says, when تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, it means all the angels. Because they're so happy with you. They say, you made it. 40, 50 years, subhanAllah, so dangerous. They can drag you to hell, or they can lift you into the highest levels of paradise. So they're astonished. They say, you made it in the midst of all the haram and all the deviant thoughts and pressure and stress and everything going on. You made it. So they come. تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. They say the last ones to come are those. These two. Now you will see them. They're in front of you. أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. They will say straight in your face, لَا تَخَافُوا. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So this is why you see some people when they die, they smile. Because they were given the glad tidings. أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. And don't be sad. Yani don't fear, not for yourself, nor for the ones you are leaving behind. They're putting them at ease. Because if you're a good parent, the moment you die, you will be thinking about your children. Even when you're dying. What will happen to them? Who will take care of them? Did I leave enough money behind? You're thinking about these things. Don't think about this, please. It is your steadfastness which will be the very reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be taking care of them better than if you were to have remained alive and would have taken care of them. أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. And don't be sad. Don't be sad. Not for the future, nor for the past. أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. And what are they saying now? This is still while you are dying. It's in the Quran. وَأَبْشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. And be happy with the glad tidings of a paradise that was being promised to you. Now, كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. And then it comes. نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. We were your allies in this life. Remember when we said that sometimes things don't happen when you think I should have died, it should have been an accident, I was just on time, these are the angels doing this for us. So they said, we were your allies in this life, وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ, and we will be your ally in the hereafter, meaning they will accompany you, they will make it easy for you to give your soul. Because your soul hasn't left your body yet. We are your allies. Just give us your soul. I promise nothing will happen to you. You know that angels don't lie, so you know it's not a trick. So come at ease. We will guide you through the gates to the hereafter. You know, we will be there, even in your grave. We are your allies. نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم, and know that everything you desire is there for you. They make it easy for you. Like, where am I going? Like, I'm going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is He angry with me? Will I be punished? Will I be thrown into hell? Will I make it over the bridge? وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. That which you desire is there. Just do it. Like when the first time someone has to jump from a plane, and you know, the guy is telling him, just jump, nothing will happen. Everything is okay. I've checked it, it's good, come on, just do it. Like here it is the angels, just make that jump. Because we didn't come to you know, tear your soul apart and to rip it out of your body. We're waiting for you to give it. So they put you at ease. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ. And you know, so and everything that you have asked for is there. نُزُلًا مِنْ غَفُورٍ رَحِيمٍ. It will be your residence given by the Ghafur Rahim. And some say Nuzulan, yani we were sent to come down by the Ghafur Rahim. You see? So now you know that they came because Allah commanded them to come to welcome you into the world of the hereafter, exactly as they welcomed you in the world of the seen world when Adam was created and when you were in the womb of your mother. They're always welcoming you. Even when you enter into paradise, the first thing, وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ يَدْخُلُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ بَابٍ سَلَامٍ. Even when you enter paradise, the malaika, they come from all the doors of paradise and they say, Salam, yani salamun alaykum tibtum. Now, in another, so salamun alaykum tibtum, yani you have done well. Salam alaykum. So now, if you look at this, we are always being welcomed by the angels. How do we welcome them every day in our lives? If this is how pure and how happy they are, how sad are they when we commit sins in their presence? They're present when we sin. The only moment that they turn away is when one goes to the toilet or a man and a woman are together. That's the only time they turn their faces. For the rest, they're always there. Men and women are together, haram, they're there. Gossip, they're there. Doing anything. So, to come back. نُزُلًا مِنْ غَفُورٍ رَحِيمٍ. Allah. So these angels, yani they also, as we said before, they also perform Hajj. وَالطُّورِ وَكِتَابٍ مَسْتُورٍ وَالْبَيْتِ الْمَعْمُورِ. Bayt al-Ma'mur, you know what it is? It is the Kaaba of the angels in the skies. Bayt al-Ma'mur. Some say that the Prophet, yani Dawood alayhi salam, some say will sit against the Bayt al-Ma'mur. You know, he sits against that Kaaba and he will be taking care of the children. Ibrahim alayhi salam will sit against the Kaaba and he will then be taking care of the children running around there, the children of parents who lost their children when they were very young. They will be raised by Ibrahim in the hereafter. Until the day comes when their parents are revived on the day of judgment, and that they will be a veil for their parents against hellfire. So parents will be told, go to Jannah straight away. They say, what about our sins? He says, your children are a veil for you against the punishment of hell. But this is when you are patient, when it happens. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Hadith al-Qudsi, or the Prophet ﷺ, that when Allah takes the life of one's child, may Allah preserve our children, he asks the angels, and he knows best and better. He says, how did you leave my slave behind? He said, Yani, we found him praising you and saying, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And then Allah will say, build for him a palace in paradise, and call it Baytul Hamd, the house of all praise. You see? So the angels, Ya Rabbi, they have, like, they're really interlinked and connected, to us. So now they go around this Bayt al-Ma'mur. And in another narration, and this is very beautiful, the Prophet ﷺ said about Bayt al-Ma'mur, he asked his companions, هل تدرون ما البيت المعمور? Do you know what the Bayt al-Ma'mur is? And then he said, هو مسجد الملائكة. So this is why some say that the Bayt al-Ma'mur and the Kaaba in the sky are two different things, and some say no. The Bayt al-Ma'mur, they go around it, but they're also allowed to pray in it. So it is not just where they circumambulate, but they also pray inside of the Kaaba in these skies. They have a mosque. Prayer, the angels have a mosque. So can you imagine with their turbans, green turbans and everything? This is what they wear, right? SubhanAllah. Flying around it, going in a mosque, yes please. Now if you ask me if they have an imam in prayer, I don't know. Did you want to ask that? Yes, I thought it. So I don't know if they have that.
I think his next question was which school of thought?
Was that your question?
I know that.
Yeah. So I don't know. So here they are in the mosque, and how they pray in the mosque. It's ajib, right? So when you go to the mosque, just think that at that particular moment, the angels are also, praying. And when they pray, the difference is, when we pray, we ask for ourselves. But they pray, they ask for us. So when they go to the mosque, it's not to make dua, like, oh Allah, give me a Mercedes. Oh Allah, give me a lot of money. Oh Allah, this, oh Allah, that. It's, oh Allah, forgive this person. Oh Allah, draw them closer to you. Because this is how pure they are. And this is why we want this state of heart as well, where our heart is inspired by our souls, not by our brains. You see? And that we ask for people. Wallahi, there's no more beautiful thing than to ask things for people and not for yourself. And as I said before, make dua when you see people doing wrong things, or when you walk down the street and you have this, family, you can see that they're quite poor and that they live a life of drinking alcohol and not really educating their children. They look at them. Hands. Ya Rabbi, improve their standard of living. Ya Rabbi, guide them to Iman. Ya Rabbi this, Ya Rabbi that. I mean, if you were to make dua for Jeff Bezos from Amazon, right, with his 161 billion, and you would say, Ya Rabbi, guide him so that he can be of benefit for the Muslims. Would that be correct to say? You just want him to be guided for his money? Ya Rabbi, save him. Ya Rabbi, save him. That's the first thing. What he does with his money later on, that's something else. So we make dua for people who suffer. When you hear a brother say, my car just broke down, then in front of his face, you say, oh subhanAllah, so hard to hear, inshallah, may Allah make it easy for you. And a car will come down from the sky, inshallah. But then when you go home, you forget about it. You don't do anything about it. It's just in front of you. Oh, brother, my son is sick. Oh, may Allah cure him. And then when you go home, there's nothing. So the true you should now be the one that does it. You just say, inshallah, we'll make dua for you. You can say this. And then when you're home, you do this, and then you know your dua is true. So learn from the angels. Make a lot of dua for others, and then Allah will give you better than that which you were to ask for your own self. That's a promise. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that if someone makes dua just for him, salah over him, instead of making dua, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him better in the deen and in the dunya and the akhirah than that which he would have asked for. Okay, so let's continue. So the angels have this. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the angels and says, هُمْ مِنْ خَشْيَتِهِ مُشْفِقُونَ هُمْ مِنْ خَشْيَتِهِ مُشْفِقُونَ. Meaning, out of awe for him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're in constant fear. Naam. They're in constant awe for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And al-mushfiq, yani, it means that it's someone who is hoping for mercy. That's al-mushfiq. Which is very strange because actually the angels didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong, but they know that whatever you do in your life, you will never, ever, ever give Allah His due. Remember? We spoke about these angels lifting their faces or coming out of sujood on the Day of Judgment. What was the thing that they were going to say, Asim? When all these angels, they were for 1 billion of years in sujood, they come out of sujood and the first thing they say is, Subhanaka ma abadnaka haqqa ibadatik. Subhanak, we haven't worshipped you in a way that you are supposed to be worshipped. You see this? So someone with an angelic heart will never be pleased with the amount of worship and the quality of his worship. Someone with weaker iman will say, Alhamdulillah, I did this and that and such and such. So these angels, and for billions of years, they come out of their sujood and they say, Subhanaka, I didn't worship you, Rabbi, the way you're supposed to be worshipped. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said, like in the Jama of Imam Suyuti, that if someone were to be created and would have been in sujood from the very first day he was created until the very last day on the face of the earth, that he wouldn't have given even the thanks for one single eye to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like if now somebody, may Allah protect you, rips out or cuts out your eye, both of your eyes. No money in the world can ever let you see again. Even if you're having 160 billion. No way. You see this? So if you look at this, you say, Allahu Akbar. And what you have is billions, trillions, zillions, quadrillions, whatever. So this is what you have. If I were to ask you now, Shahraz, would you please sell me your hearing and your sight, for $5 billion halal dollars? Who will? Who wants $5 billion in exchange for not seeing, not hearing anything ever again? No one. This is how rich you are. You see this? So to come back, Yani, we should know that no matter what we do, we should be like the malaika mushfiqun. But what do the people of paradise say? Inna kunna qablu fi ahlina mushfiqin. فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا وَوَقَانَا عَذَابَ سَمُومٍ. So here Allah describes the angels as being mushfiqin. إِنَّا كُنَّا قَبْلُ فِي أَهْلِنَا مُشْفِقِينَ. Is that correct, Hashim? That is correct. So إِنَّا كُنَّا قَبْلُ فِي أَهْلِنَا مُشْفِقِينَ فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. So Allah describes the angels as being mushfiq, in a constant awe and fear. And when the people of paradise talk to one another, they said, before when we were alive, together with our families, we were mushfiqun. In the same state as the angels. Is that clear? So we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very often refers to the pious believers as being in an angelic state. Isn't that surprising? Is that beautiful? It is. So mushfiqeen. What does ishfaq means actually? The ishfaq or the shafaqa means that there is no reason to be afraid, really, but you still are. Because you respect and love that one so much. Like, subhanAllah, when you write a letter, like a letter for your wife, you're in the second week of marriage, and you say, I'm going to write a beautiful, poetic letter. So, I don't know if people do this, but anyway. So, why not, huh? Why not? So, you write something, and then when you want to give it, or like your first khutbah in a mosque, let me talk about myself. Like the first khutbah in a mosque, like, you want it to be good, right? And even if it was perfect, you still think you didn't do well. Because of the haiba, because of the awe of that particular situation you're in. like if you want to express your feelings to someone, you're afraid that this wouldn't be sufficient. Like when you send a CV, you read it like 50 times. Oh, maybe I'm going to change this. Oh, maybe there. You know, you keep on making it more and more beautiful because you're afraid that it wouldn't do, that it's not enough. Well, that feeling should be in our worship. That feeling should be in our worship. We are not sending CVs up there. We are sending prayers. We are sending prayers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, to Him comes the kalimul tayyib, the good words, وَالْعَمَلُ صَالِحٌ يَرْفَعُ. The good deeds bring up the what? The shahada and the prayer. So all the time, all of our deeds, we are sending them to heaven. Do we feel like that? I mean, when you send your CV, you're thinking like 5 minutes, oh, should I push enter? No, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, okay, do it. No, maybe it's not good enough. Do you think it's good enough? Yes, good enough. What do you think? No, not good enough. Okay, I'm going to change. So you keep on, like being very paranoid. And then when you finally press enter, you're in a state of panic. Oh, what did I do? Maybe I should have waited. Oh no, what they're going to think, what they're going to say. I hope you're not really like this 100% because then you have a problem. So you feel this, right, going on. But with prayer, we don't seem to have a problem. With song, we don't have a problem. With dhikr, we don't have a problem. Just send it, Roger, there you are. This is a problem. We shouldn't be like that. We should be mushfiqeen. That even when we do everything well, we still have the feeling that we fall short, because no matter what we do for Allah Jalla wa Ala, one, it is for us, and two, it's never sufficient. So this is why these angels are mushfiqun, and this is why the people of paradise, when they get together, they say, Inna kunna qablu fi ahlina mushfiqeen. Before, when we used to be, with our families, we would be mushfiqun. You see this? So once again, an angelic state. Ya Rabbi, subhanallah. Ya Rabbi, angels. Look here. This is a nice one. I'm going to read this one. He says, the Prophet ﷺ said, مررت ليلة أسري بي بالملأ الأعلى وجبريل كالحلس البالي من خشية الله تعالى. He said, the night I was ascended with, Jibreel was, how do you call it, like a carpet which has been flattened out. It was laying down on the ground, flattened out, like he was a carpet out of fear for Allah. His wings, all the way, 600 wings, laying down with forehead, now with the face towards the ground, just on the ground, flat. This is the way that he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, described Jibreel alayhi salam. Can you imagine? So he saw Jibreel out of fear for Allah, just laying down, flattened, stretched out of fear for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not the only angel in that state. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ أَنْ يُوحِي بِالْأَمْرِ تَكَلَّمَ بِالْوَحْيِ أَخَذَتْ السَّمَاوَاتِ مِنْهُ رَجْفًا أَوْ قَالَ رَعْدًا خوفا من الله عز وجل فإذا سمع ذلك أهل السماوات صعقوا وخروا لله سجدا فيكون أول من يرفع رأسه جبريل عليه السلام فيكلمه الله تعالى من وحيه بما أراد. What do I say? In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to reveal something, wants to descend a revelation, now the angels, they hear it, that Allah is about to reveal something. He says, then all of a sudden, the what? The skies, they burst and they make a very heavy sound. And he says, and then all the malaika, without any exception, fall down in sujood for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like when they know that Allah is about to reveal a revelation, out of fear for Allah, they fall down in sujood. And the first one to raise his face is Jibreel alayhi salam, because the revelation is for him. Right? And he needs to reveal what has been revealed. So he raises his face, and then what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him what the revelation is. How are we inspired by this? Well, once again, the salah. When the Imam reads the Quran, it's the revelation being, shared with you. And you are waiting after Allah Jalla wa Ala have been spoken to you. Because this is what it is. This is what Quran is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's word speaking to you. So you are waiting for that sujood. Because when your king keeps on talking to you, like it feels like a knockout to your soul. You know, it's like Jannah, Nar, I'm the greatest, I see your sins, I know what you're doing. He keeps on knocking you. See, Ya Rabbi, I want to make sujood, you know. So you go in ruku', you come back up and you throw yourself in sujood. And then, you know, when you lift your face again, you will not lift it until the Imam lifts it, because he's the one that was sharing the revelation with you. So this is how people feel when they are in Salah, behind the Imam, for Imam. All of a sudden I don't feel like being an Imam. So you have this going on, like when you pray, you know, let your heart be like the heart of the malaika. Your heart is in sujood before your body going into sujood. You know, submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in awe and respect and ishfaq, waiting for that sujood. And when you're in sujood, you wait for the Imam to lift his face, because he's the one that was, you know, sharing the revelation. So this is just one of these examples of these malaika having ishfaq, fear. You know, constant ishfaq, meaning feeling that you fall short even when you do everything right. That's an ishfaq. So this should make someone humble, and to never be pleased with himself, whatever he does, however big it may be, it's always small. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Do we have any questions about what has been said until now? Yes.
So, you know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that every child, when they're born, is touched with the shaitan, except Isa, the son of Maryam.
Yes.
How do we understand that?
How do we understand that? Well, those who believe in the world of the unseen say it's literal. So that shaitan at that particular moment, when a child is born, he comes like with his finger to push it, to say, I will be waiting for you when you become an adolescent, I'm there. You know? So he pushes him and he waits. Some he says that it's not physical. It's more that the child would be able to see things of the unseen. Like they say, when a child smiles, he sees the angels. Everybody says this, but we don't have a straightforward proof for that. It's just, you know, people saying it. And to be quite frank, a child smiles. One of the reasons why a child smiles is also just physical. Like it doesn't control its muscles like 100%. So we turn it into a story. So I believe that everything which has to do with the unseen, we need a straightforward dalil. Because the world of the unseen can only be described by someone with knowledge of the world of the unseen. Okay. So anyway, so some would say that it's just shaitan, touching the child, that it makes the child weep. But we also know that a child has to weep when it's born, right? To open the lungs, right? And we also know that if a child were to weep too early, that it would die. That's why the mouth remains closed, right? It doesn't go and open the mouth. It's just because it needs to remain closed so that the lungs are protected and so forth. So anyway, and also when it comes out, it starts breathing with its lungs. Before it would breathe through the
umbilical cord.
Yes, exactly. So now it's in need of opening it, and this is why a child cries.
Why is Sayyidina Isa given the exception?
Why? Because he was an answer to the dua. What was the dua? In Surah Al-Imran.
The mother of Sayyidina Maryam.
Say it. Try. وَإِنِّي أُعِيذُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. And I ask you to protect her and her offspring against the shaitan al-rajim. Who was her? Was Maryam. Who was her offspring? Isa. And this is the reason, that was the acceptance of the dua, that Isa wasn't touched by the shaitan. This is what the scholars make clear, that this is the reason. Yes?
For the jinn,
Yes.
do they see the world as we see it? Like, do they see Islam? Do they know about the revelations? Do they know
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So they also have the choice choice to believe or not to believe in the messenger. They know about revelation. They read Quran. They pray with us. Most likely, they're sitting here amongst us. Definitely, even maybe more jinn here than humans. Does it make you feel uncomfortable? But don't look to your right. So, let us have a break of how many minutes? Yeah? No, you choose.
10 minutes?
10 minutes break, and then we continue with that.